You're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Green Bay Packers content. Created for the fans by the fans. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know whenever we go live. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Packers_access. Go Pack Go. Enjoy the show.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can text us 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay, here to talk some Green Bay Packers Detroit Lions preview this evening. Going to dive into the injury report a little bit deeper and just kind of take a walk across Twitter and some of the stuff that happened today in terms of news. Before we jump into all that, let's go ahead and give a Tim. How was the day, big dog? How you doing, man?
Long one, man. I'm a little winded, getting older, right? We're north of 40, man, Still feel like a young man inside, but physically it's a whole different ball game, right?
Yeah, no doubt, man. The mind says you're still young, and the body goes, oh, no. Not so quick. Not so fast, my friend.
The body's like...
sit your butt outside.
That's exactly right. Or sit your butt on the ground sometimes, right? The way that works. We got a little snow flying out here in East Tennessee, man. It's cold. I love it, dude. We were out running around a little bit earlier today. Had to go take care of some stuff, and then, of course, we didn't see any snow flying while we were out, but it was chilly. It just feels like Christmas. I love it.
We got a heat wave over here on the east side of Green Bay, man. It's 31 degrees, man. It's about to break out the shorts and the t-shirts,
Exactly. I want to say we're supposed to get under 20 degrees. I know here in the next day or two, and then next week's supposed to be back in the 50s though. So we'll get straightened back out, man. You know how
there you go.
Yeah. Let's do this, man. Let's take a walk real quick. Let's do that. Let's take a walk around Twitter real quick, man. I had a couple things I tweeted out earlier that just came down the pike as news, and we got the full injury report. We're going to hit on that as well. Tim, I had to play this one for you, man. I put Ron Tolbert going to Ron Tolbert. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but watch this. I'm going to mute that, right? Look at the face mask. Look how far he turns his helmet.
Oh, wow.
That's face mask, right? Wrong. They didn't throw a face mask, and look who it is. I went, dang, they really didn't throw a face mask? Look right here. Take that off the screen. Look, it's Ron Tolbert. Ron Tolbert.
I mean, that's blatant.
That's bad, bro. That's
illegal hands to the face and the grasp and pull of the face mask. That's like 30 yards worth of penalties right there. He lost his mouthpiece, everything.
Yeah. Ron Tolbert said, no, sir, nothing there. So
I like to
go with that.
Play. Ron Tolbert, gonna Ron Tolbert, baby. There you go.
Right.
Reno 911.
And I had to share it just because I know you're a big fan of Ron Tolbert. Tim's got the president of the Ron Tolbert fan club here on Packers.
Whoa. I don't know about all of that.
How dare you?
So Matt Schneidman tweeted out, glad you asked. It'll be Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, and Kaylee Hartung on Amazon Prime Video, as Connor Grossman on Twitter asked Matt, hey, who's going to be calling the game? So we are going to get Al Michaels. We're going to get Kirk Herbstreit. I don't know how you feel about Al. I love Al Michaels. He's one of my favorite announcers. I think he comes from the old school approach of like a Pat Summerall, where it's minimus.
Yeah.
The opposite spectrum, in my opinion, like is Gus Johnson. Gus Johnson, right? What's his name? Not Gus Johnson. What is it? Gus Johnson, right? In college, am I thinking
Probably,
right?
Yeah.
Whoever called the Ohio State game.
Over a little bit more descriptive, a little bit more commentary. Yeah.
Bro, it was horrible. He was just, screaming over the tie. It's like, we don't need that. Game's good enough. You don't have to try to make yourself the center of attention, Another one I like is Mike Tirico. Mike Tirico just
game. One of my top 5 probably.
Absolutely
calling a game. And Al Michaels too, though, man. That's a legend right there. He's been calling games since before you and I were even born, probably. So maybe a little past his prime, but you're right, a total pro. When it comes to calling a game, kind of keeping it simple, nothing too crazy. And of course, Kirk Herbstreit is always fun, whether it's college or the NFL, man. You gotta love him.
Yeah, I remember when he got pitched this whole thing, he kind of leaked the information on the Pat McAfee show a few years ago, and he was like kind of nervous, like, man, these NFL fans aren't going to like it, because he is kind of the voice of college football.
Right.
And Pat kept pushing him towards, he and Pat have become real good friends, obviously, on the set of College Game Day. And I think Kirk does a hell of a job. and calling NFL and college games. And if you guys aren't watching College Game Day, man, it is really went to the next level. It's absolutely awesome this year. Just seeing Nick Saban, I mean, the stuff he says, oh my God. You think I got one-liners, boy. This guy, he is his country, his cornbread, and he has got the best, man. When he said
Nick Saban unleashed, you got to love it when he's behind the desk and not on the sidelines, right?
Bro, he was talking about this specific game, and they drove down the field. And if you got kids in the room, earmuff it, all right? The YouTube channel is protected, but if you're on the podcast, it's going to be a wordy dirt here. He said, we went right down the field on offense like shit through a tin horn. And I'm telling you, I lost it. Right on.
And they were like, Nick, watch your language on national TV. And he's like,
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
So again, man, College Game Day has just been absolutely phenomenal, man. It's awesome. So it's awesome, though. We're going to have, like I said, Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit on the call. No surprise there. I think Kaylee Hartung does a great job on the sideline, too. Amazon does a really good job with their, I think they call it the nightcap after the game. And don't get me wrong, Richard Sherman gets on my nerves. I think he gets on everybody's nerves. They just kind of accept him. But I really like what they do there with Fitzmagic on the set and everything. I think they do a phenomenal job with that. But anyway, it should be a fun night there. Fun night of Thursday night football there with the Packers and Lions, no doubt. It was cool hearing Bill Belichick talk about it earlier too, man. They were kind of laying it out, this and that, and it's everybody's talking about the injuries, obviously, but again, you can overcome that. Every team deals with injuries. I know Dave Burkett on Twitter actually tweeted this out, and I think it was a story. If you want to go give him some support and read the story, it's at Dave Burkett is where you can find him on X. It says, if Taylor Decker misses a second straight game this week, the Lions have a choice to make at left tackle, Penei Sewell or Dan Skipper. Now, I don't think they're going to move Penei Sewell off right tackle. That's just me. And the reason being is because typically Rashawn Gary's lined up at left end, and that's definitely your best pass rusher in terms of the edge defender room, right? I can't imagine they would want to put Penei Sewell at the left tackle where the majority of the snaps would be LVN or Kingsley and Igbara, seeing that Rashawn Gary's got the highest, quarterback pressure rate of our entire edge room. So I think they'll leave Penei Sewell to the right. But this is something we kind of talked about earlier today, Tim, that they're banged up, and it sounds like there is still a lot of worry that Taylor Decker may not play in this game at left tackle.
Yeah, I mean, matchups aside, and to take nothing away from Penei Sewell, obviously one of the top tier tackles.
I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, really for sure. But we've talked about this. David Bakhtiari has talked about this. Another, all-time great tackle in this league. It's not easy to move from the right side to the left or vice versa. You'd have a better chance of moving him to right guard than moving him all the way over to left tackle. And that's just footwork. It's, you're getting your legs under you and just feel for the game. If anyone can do it, it's probably Penei Sewell. He could probably play anywhere on that O-line. But it all depends, like you said. I mean, if Decker's out, yeah, they're going to the Lions are going to have a choice to make. And either way, I think you're kind of at a disadvantage. Like you said, if you move them over there, then guys can tee off on the right side of that O-line. So, we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, definitely. Greg Rice in the chat says, Clay, when are you flying into Green Bay for your shot at inside linebacker? Bud, you got me crossed up with somebody else.
Here's the guy.
This guy right here, man, at my heaviest, I was 6'1", 235. All right. And let me tell you, I was thick. I was not in a good way either. But I'm running. Thick. Yeah. As you get older, you shorten, you get a little bit shorter, believe it or not, right? And with the back injuries I've had too. Now I'm riding probably about 6 foot, 200 pounds, I would imagine. Okay. So we need to get that back down to under 180 real quick, Tim. Man, I'll tell you, we ordered Jersey Mocks again today, sponsor the show. Man, it's hard to fight it with that bread at Jersey Mocks. I'm just telling you, bro. Yeah. So anyway, appreciate the kind words there. And I know you're joking. You just want to laugh at me in here. But, I think about some of these hits these guys take. And I know it's just a little bit off topic, Tim, but I think of the kicker. Like, we went out to the football field a few years ago, me and a couple of buddies, and we're just messing around, throwing it. You know how it is. You get that itch like little kids out there throwing it around. We started kicking field goals. I kicked a 45-yard field goal. I lined that sucker up, and I put everything I had in it. It probably had about 3 or 4 yards extra on it. Bro, my right ass cheek hurt for 2 weeks. I was like, how do they do this every single day, constantly? Kickers,
That's terrible.
the least demanding position on the field. I don't know how these guys do it. I mean, you see them taking these licks and getting in car accident after car accident on the field, and of course we're watching from our couch, right? We're watching from our couch, like, oh, look at this bum. He missed the tackle.
Kicker, yeah. And then you see him making tackles too, right?
Right.
Special teams is special teams, right? That's why I think you and I have a shared respect for guys like Pat McAfee, right? A football player is a football player, regardless of what position you're in. At any given moment, you could you could lose your ability to stand up without grunting, put it that way. So you got to give respect where respect's due. But you're right, though, Clay. Putting on that extra weight sure helps when you're out there, running into each other every single week. So.
Yeah, it's wild to see players retire too, right? They'll like a big off, like Joe Thomas was one, right? He played at Wisconsin, right? Joe Thomas, am I thinking right?
Yep.
Wisconsin, great. You see him in the NFL 320, 315. He retires 6 months later. He's like, whatever he is, 6'5", 210 pounds. It's like, how in the world did you do that, man? It's wild. But Greg Rice in the chat said, is there a helmet that big? Just kidding, bro. I ain't kidding, bro. I'm going to tell you. I got a head like Mandy. Mandy called me tadpole first time she met me, right? She seen my baby pictures that cat looks like a tadpole. No doubt. I got to give him some. She said, your poor mom. That's what she said. Talk about giving birth to this cat. Let's see here. Fred McFarley says, can you guys go for 3 hours so I can listen to the entire game on mute? No, we can't do that, man. I mean, we can, but it's cold. I'll be sleeping in the truck tonight if we do that. I promise you. So, but we appreciate you swinging through, Fred, for sure. So, again, Taylor Decker might miss a second straight game. Since we kind of, talking about this, Tim, let's flash the injury report up real quick and see where Taylor Decker's at here. Knee, he did not participate on Monday. So, he does have a knee injury. So, right on the surface, it seems like there's a realistic chance he won't play, right? And, if you're the Detroit Lions, too, you got to be kind of looking at this like, listen, we got a little buffer here, right? You want to beat the Packers, don't get me wrong. But what you don't want to do is send Taylor Decker out there less than 100% and then really mess that knee up, have to go on IR and you not have him for like the playoffs or something, right? That would be devastating. Yep. So
I'd be looking to see if he's limited, perhaps tomorrow or going forward. If it's another DNP, then yeah, he's probably not going to go. Right. You got to think ahead. If you're, sitting where Detroit is right now, top of the division, divisional matchup, rivalry game, all that aside, yeah, you got to look out for your personnel. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go if he's, in fact, not participating again tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. So some other players here on this Detroit Lions injury list. Carlton Davis, cornerback with a knee injury. He was limited today. Emmanuel Mosley, cornerback with a hamstring, was full participation. He should be good to go. Levi, defensive lineman, hamstring, did not participate. Josh Paschal, defensive lineman with the knee, did not participate. And DJ Reader, defensive lineman with the shoulder, did not participate. You see that list and you think, oh, man, that's kind of light. They must be healthy. No, these don't include the players that were put on injured reserve. And as we pointed out, there was like 7 or 8 in the month of November. Since November 9th, I think there's like 7 or 8 players that have been put on IR. And most of them, I think all but one, right, were defensive players. So they are extremely banged up. Again, we just wanted to show the injury report on the Detroit Lions side because Taylor Decker is going to be a huge one right there, man, no doubt.
So are the 3 D linemen that they're probably going to be missing, right? Another excuse to just pound the rock, right? Run the freaking ball. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's going to be interesting to see how aggressive they get as we go into Thursday night. And again, if I'm Detroit, I'm kind of looking at it like, hey, let's don't ruin the whole season here trying to win one more ball game. Now, don't get me wrong, the 22 that suit up out there, right? The 11 that go out there on offense, the 11 that go out on defense, and obviously your teams, they're going to play their ass off. They're going to play to win, but you're probably going to throttle back a little bit in terms of trying to get these guys out there and risking it long term. Now, on the Packers side, you've got Jair Alexander with the knee. He was limited today. You've got Corey Ballantyne with the knee, did not participate, which that did look kind of ugly, Tim. I'm surprised he didn't go on IR. I don't know if that was that opening kickoff where Keyshawn Nixon, had the 43-yard return. And Corey Ballantyne, great block there, but immediately you could just see him kind of go limp with that leg, right?
Yep.
So I'm really surprised that we haven't seen him on IR yet. I guess that suggests it's maybe just a slight sprain or something, you know?
Hopefully, one of those things that looked worse than it was, but better to be safe than sorry, considering, again, you know, the health issues that we have in that cornerback room. So hopefully he's back sooner than later. But, I mean, I look at the Packers list. I see Elton Jenkins there not participating today with the knee. I'm hoping that's just a day off for the OG little veteran day. See what Big E's doing tomorrow. But that's a cause for concern because we don't want to have to play too much musical chairs on that O-line here, especially against the Lions.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so Kenny Clark, veteran rest, he's good to go. He was limited today, but obviously good to go. Edgerrin Cooper with the hamstring did not participate. I did not see any tweets to him that came out and said he was riding a bike, so I'm assuming nothing's changed there, but I didn't get any great detail in that regard. Romeo Doubs with the concussion, he's limited, but Matt LaFleur did confirm he's still in concussion protocol, so they're still obviously working through that this week. We should know probably by Wednesday if Rome's going to be good to go or not. Typically, when you got a concussion, by the time the second or the third, which is the final injury report, comes out, they'll list him as out if he's not going to play. So if he's limited up and through the final injury report, I would imagine Romeo Doubs is probably going to play in this game. John Fitzpatrick tied in with the back injury. He was limited. Josh Jacobs with the calf injury. He's limited. We know he's going to be good to go. He's an absolute workhorse this year. Elton Jenkins with the knee did not participate. That's really, really interesting there because Elton was scheduled to have veteran rest. You know, he typically does this time of year, and he actually popped up on the injury report with a knee. So there may be something there. I don't know. If I had to guess right now, I would say we will know by Wednesday. If he's not limited by Wednesday, probably a good chance that Elton's going to be listed as doubtful or maybe even potentially out by the time we get there.
It's been off and on with him with the knee this year, I think. I don't think this is anything new. Maybe something's flaring up, hopefully, and it's just something they can, get him ready to go by Thursday. You know, I don't want to read too much into it, but that's certainly a name that, you see on the injury report, man, you're concerned for sure.
Yeah. All right. Who else? We got Isaiah McDuffie with the ankle. He's limited. We know he's going to go. I mean, that dude played pretty much all the defensive snaps last week on that sore ankle. So, he's good to go. Aaron Mosby, defensive line, said game day concussion protocol evaluation was the injury, and it says full participation. So he must be pretty much cleared, it sounds like, seeing that he's full participation. That's Aaron Mosby. Josh Myers with the pec injury, he was limited, probably good to go. Rasheed Walker, knee, limited, he's good to go. Kobe Wooden, shoulder, limited, he's good to go. So, outside of Edgerrin Cooper, I feel like pretty much everybody's going to play here. Edgerrin Cooper and Corey Ballantyne probably going to be out this week. I would be surprised if Jair doesn't go this week, seeing that they did not put him on IR. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully he'll be ready to roll come this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's about time we get John Money back for a big game, right? Catching a little heat for missing some of these big ones, divisional matchups. So this is perfect timing, I think, especially with Ballantyne being banged up. One next man up. I mean, doesn't always mean it's a bench guy coming in for a starter. It can be the other way around. You can have a starter coming back off that injury report and making a contribution. So hopefully Ja's out there on Thursday.
Yeah, Coach Lynn says, any word on Musgrave? I haven't heard a peep, Coach. My guess is he's still not ready to go. Now, he's on IR. I can't remember what week he went on IR, but obviously you got to hold there at least for 4 weeks. But I have no reason to believe that Musgrave is going to be back anytime soon. I know the original report, and it was a long time ago, was they were hoping to get him back before the end of the year. As they said that, I do specifically remember thinking probably be like week 17 if he's got a shot to come back. So we're still a little bit out. At least, again, that was just kind of how I felt there on the surface. What about you, Tim? You heard anything on Musgrave? You got any specific feeling about that?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
There you go. You heard it from a fan. All right, let's see here. 2-0 for this in the chat. Jair and Romeo both look like they are back. That's the way I'm leaning to 2-0 for this. It is, man. Deadfish says we get a mini bye after this game should help with going to Seattle. Amen. I think we get an extra 2 days rest, and then the following week an extra day rest. So this is working out pretty good. Fred McFarley with the important information. Musgrave went on our October the 11th. Wow, did he really? So, yeah, I mean, we're well past 4 weeks. So, yeah, I think I stand by what I originally said. Probably week 17, week 18, you try to get him back out there. He's going to be rusty too, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of those things that hopefully they don't just throw him right back out there and, hey, all right, he's the tight end number 2. I hope that doesn't happen, you know? I
think Ben Sims has been playing pretty good ball too. So you feel good about Tuck Norris and Ben Sims out there as your 1 and 2. You know, we'll see how the injury report shapes up though. But you're right. How do you get a guy who hasn't played football in, over a month? How do you get him up to speed and then, ready for playoff football? So it'll be interesting to see what happens with old Luke Musgrave there.
Yeah, for sure. Cam in the chat says, or Cam, I apologize. Ja Money, he said he definitely not ducking that smoke, Tim. He ain't ducking that smoke.
That's my guy right there. You already know.
Let's see here. What else we got? Prince says Musgrave can't be present at practice, so I have not heard of any sightings from the media. Assume he is still in rehab. I'd say you're probably right there. So, all right, man. Let's see what else we got here. NFL talking about these extra days off. NFL owes us for making the Pack go to Brazil week 1. I think that's a fair assessment there for sure. All right, back to the old X machine here. Thought this was cool. Wes Hodkowitz had tweeted out through the first week of Pro Bowl voting. Let me see if I can get this to trigger here for us. I think it'll work. It's all right. Through the first week of Pro Bowl voting, Packers safety Xavier McKinney leads the NFC in free safety voting. Looking to make his first Pro Bowl team, X is currently tied with Detroit's Kirby Joseph for the league lead in interceptions with 7. So as of right now, Tim, free safety Pro Bowl, not that it really matters, but it's kind of cool to keep up with. Xavier McKinney leading the way, and rightfully so.
Oh, yeah, man. We hope X gets it, right? First Pro Bowl, first year with the Pack, tied for the league lead in interceptions. We all know there's more to playing safety than just getting picks. So, we'll see how the rest of this year shapes up. But, I mean, it'll be fun to watch on Thursday night, right? Let's see who has the better game. I got a feeling X is X gonna give it to you, in the words of DMX. So we'll see. I mean, I think he's a Pro Bowler. Arguably a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, at least in the conversation. So I think X is going to make the Pro Bowl this year for sure.
Yeah. Cam says, AFAM getting all my job money. Yeah. AFAM gets on everybody in here, man. AFAM, you'll notice he'll have about 7 negative comments about players and 1 positive. And I'll always highlight the positive and ignore the negative. That's the way that works. So 2-0 for this. I think it's crazy that Matt is still not in the conversation for Coach of the Year. It's wild, man. This, again, when Aaron was here, I'm not saying I agree with it. I completely disagree with it. But you can understand how people from the outside, like, well, he's got Aaron Rodgers. He was gifted Aaron Rodgers, right? What he's doing without Aaron Rodgers now and with the youngest team in the league, I'm with you 2-0 for this. Like, it's just, he gets 0 respect. You know what it's going to take? It's going to take him getting a damn ring before anybody respects him. And I say, let's do it this year. Why
Amen. Not? I felt that way all along. And I feel like he's always kind of teetered around the conversation, But like 2-0 for this said, he's not in the serious conversation. But we got to be real, man. There's some talented coaches in this league, and it's not easy to win Coach of the Year. But I think you're right, Clay. I think we're going to have to bring Lombardi home before we get over that hump with Tupac LaFleur winning Coach of the Year. So we'll see.
Just has the not highest, scoring, or I'm sorry, winning percentage in the history of the National Football League. That's all, right? That's all. So
no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal at all. All right. What is this? From 35,000, Donovan Schilling. Hey, second show in a week at 35,000 feet. What's up, Packer fan? What's he talking about? You on a spaceship right now?
He's on that airplane, man. He was in Vegas last time. I don't know where he is now. Maybe he's on his way back. Hopefully he's got some money in his pocket.
I know it. You can't hide credit, boy. My man traveling everywhere, ain't he? That's what I'm talking about. I appreciate you joining in, Donovan. Yeah, flying back from Vegas.
No, there it is, right there.
He said, I had just enough money left to get one plane ticket back.
Good old Las Wages, Nevada, baby.
There it is. Nope, broke AF. All right, gotcha. Welcome to the club, buddy. Welcome to the club. All right, so here we go. Wes Hawkowitz also tweeted this out. The Packers and Lions face off Thursday in a pivotal matchup in the ultra-competitive NFC North. How competitive? The North's 34 combined wins are already tied for the third most in a season by the division since realignment in 2002. The most was 36 in 2011. The race is on. So if I'm understanding that correctly, Tim, 36 is the record, right, for one division.
Yep.
So we're at 34 as a division. We're breaking that record, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, they're liable to crack 40, right? Now, I guess it means a little less seeing that there is an extra game now, compared to back then. So maybe you try to average it out over that. If you take one game off, what would it be? I think they would still have a good shot of cracking it, to be honest with you. I mean, you got plenty of – we got 4 weeks left, right?
Yep.
What it is?
And
which is crazy to think about.
And we've got hyper competitive teams like Wes is saying here, I mean, even the Bears, as much of a dumpster fire as their season has been, thus far. I mean, they're still a team that can get a dub, any given Sunday. So, and we all know that the Packers are talented, so are the Lions, and so are the Vikings. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if we get over the hump there.
Yeah.
LaFleur.
Cam's laughing, says Tupac LaFleur. There you go, man. There's Tupac. We got 3 heaters too. Look at my man right there. 3 line guards.
Hey, do we have we can't forget about the company photo though too. We got that one, right? We got Shug Hafley. We got Shug Hafley and Tupac LaFleur together. Love that.
I just imagine Suge Knight's big ass body, right? Former football player, and Jeff Hafley's little narrow white face. Ultimate.
Both of them yelling at each other. Oh, I'd love it.
Oh yeah, it.
Shout out UNLV, running Rebels, baby.
Could you imagine Tupac walks in the room with Suge Knight and it's Hafley's head on that body? And this is all he says. So what do you think about that Biggie talking trash? And he said, Vic. So this show sucks so bad. All right, let's keep it moving. I thought that was cool though that it sounds like the NFC North are about to break a wins record here. That's really, really cool. So Wes Hawkowitz always coming with the good stuff there. I thought this was cool too. Jacob Morley, always just some of the best content you'll find on Twitter. You guys remember New Year's last year?
Oh, yes.
Look at Jordan's face as he toasts there. He looks so proper. It's like, okay, thank you. It says Thanksgiving. Here's what it says. Jordan Love on the holidays. All right, so here's Jordan Love on the holidays. Thanksgiving 23, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, and Thanksgiving 24. Here are Jordan Love's stats on the holidays. 1,023 passing yards, 12 total touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he's undefeated 4-0. I think it's safe to say that when it's a big stage, national television, the whole nation watching on a holiday, Jordan Love rises to the occasion. I thought that was a really interesting stat. Does that catch you off guard a little bit, Tim? It really did. I was like, holy cow, you can't play any better than that. You really can't.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't catch me off guard, but it is cool to see it because you don't really think about stuff like this until you see it on paper, right? And then you look at the numbers and that kind of catches you off guard, but it doesn't surprise me at all that Jay Money is a dude that rises to the occasion, right? Holidays are always, big games in the NFL. Even if you are a dumpster fire, I mean, a holiday game is always a big deal. National game, those kind of things. So, it doesn't surprise me that Jay Love steps up, and I fully expect him to do that this Thursday in prime time on Amazon Prime. There you go. Sponsor the show.
Ain't no problem. Huh? That ain't no problem.
Well, that is a problem when the show sucks. When the show sucks, Amazon ain't knocking. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I've seen a few bad ones on there.
I don't want to pat you on the butt and you poop in my hand. So
speaking of pooping in the hand, man, this is kind of some bittersweet news here, Tim. Saying bittersweet after poop just doesn't sound good, does it? But and when I say bittersweet, listen, Taysom Hill, one of the more enjoyable players to watch in the league. He's so dynamic, and you could see what he means to that Saints offense. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. He just went absolutely off, right? Can do it all, can play quarterback, plays tight end, plays on special teams. He can line up in the backfield as a ball carrier as well. But they said Adam Schefter tweeted out today, tests today confirmed that the Saints tight end Taysom Hill is out for the year with the knee injury he suffered Sunday, per a source. So, again, it's bittersweet because you hate to see any player go down with a knee injury, especially one like Taysom Hill that's so much fun to watch. And the reason that it's a little bit sweet for Packer fans is obviously you got the Saints coming up in Week 16, and they're going to be without, arguably, outside of Alvin Kamara, probably their most dynamic player, right? So that's going to make things a lot tougher on the Saints. Now, listen, anything can happen any given Sunday, or in this case, any given Monday. Any team can beat any team in the NFL, but it's going to be an uphill battle for the Saints there at Lambeau on Monday Night Football without Taysom Hill. I mean, you hate to see it again, but it is going to have an effect, I imagine, on how that game's going to flow.
Yeah, right. I mean, the guy's a football player, right? Tight end, quarterback, punter, kicker, Gatorade guy, athletic trainer, drives the bus, guy does everything. And like Coach Len said, wish we still had him. Yeah, the one that got away, right? Packers legend Taysom Hill. Yeah, man, it's tough to see that. Kind of like we saw with McCaffrey too, last night. I mean, he's going to IR. He's probably going to be done as well. So it's always hard to see that, but I'll take it, man. Any chance that we have to get a dub, against a team like the Saints, again, another team that season's over with, but you can never count them out. And with them being down a guy like Taysom Hill, it's going to be that much more easy for the Packers to hopefully get that dub.
Yeah, for sure. Again, hate to see him go down, but it is worth mentioning that with the Packers game coming up here in a couple of weeks, that's definitely going to play a role in the outcome, no doubt. So that's all your update across Packers Twitter. Just wanted to give everybody a quick glimpse into that. Again, Xavier McKinney leading in Pro Bowl voting. I thought the stats with Jordan Love was absolutely awesome, man. There on the holidays. So, Tim, is there anything else you want to hit before we switch gears here? Is there anything on the forefront of your mind you'd like to talk about here?
No, I think we can keep deep diving this matchup, right?
All right, cool. Let's do it. Let's jump into the personnel real quick, okay? I know we try to cover this every week to give everybody an idea of what our opponent likes to do strategically and from a personnel and a deployment standpoint, right? So on offense, actually, we got a super chat just come in. Let's hit that real quick so they don't have to wait. Appreciate you, TC fan, for the super chat. He says, is Rodgers versus Favre a real debate now that Rodgers has collapsed in his post-Packers career? Favre made 2 Super Bowls and dealt with more organizational dysfunction than you would think after Holmgren left. Man, that's a deep question. That's a really deep question. Thank you for the super chat, TC fan. Appreciate you. Tim, this is on the surface, I almost want to disagree,
right.
But when you really think about it, let's give this some thought here. The debate between Rodgers and Favre. Now, you make great points that Rodgers has collapsed in his post-Packers career. There's no two ways about it, that they expected Rodgers to go to New York and just carry that freaking team, right? And the reality is that whole organization is dysfunctional. This is the perfect example of quarterback is the most important player position on the football field. But just because you've got a great quarterback doesn't mean you can overcome dysfunction everywhere else in the organization, right? So I don't want to undermine Aaron in this case and say, no, he should have been able to succeed there. Favre went to a much, much better situation in Minnesota than Rodgers did with the Jets. And I know Favre went to the Jets for 1 year, but if you guys remember with the Jets, they didn't make the playoffs, best of my knowledge, right?
Yeah, nobody can save the Jets. Not Brett Favre, not Aaron Rodgers.
Bingo. Now, when Brett went to the Vikings, as you guys remember, that was a pretty strong team, man. I remember they had a dynamic Percy Harvin at the time. I'm thinking they had Adrian Peterson at the time too, right? They had AP in the backfield. Am I thinking right, Tim?
They did, and they had a hell of a defense too.
Yeah, the Williams Wall. God, I hated those guys, man.
Like 12 for this said in the chat, Favre was one bounty gate away from another ring.
Very true.
Very true. So, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Favre, Rodgers, right? Rodgers, J. Love, I mean, it's always going to be a real debate, especially amongst the fan base. We all have our favorites. It's really tough being a Packer loyalist and, trying not to show your favoritism for whoever your guy is. You and I didn't grow up in the Bart Starr era, but certainly we understand who he was to this organization and what he meant to not only to the game of football in the city of Green Bay, but the community at large and everything he's done for the franchise. You understand that just based on the legend, right? But, we've seen Brett's whole career. We've seen, pretty much A-Rod's whole career too. We'll see if he plays again next year or, whatever his plans are now that he's, catching up to you and I. He's well into his 40s now. I think there's always going to be a debate. And, I like to just settle it with the fact that they're all-time greats, all of them, and for different reasons. And I think, maybe Favre has the edge. Great point that, after, Mike Holmgren left, we had the Mike Sherman years and, the end of the Favre era in Green Bay, I think may have been a little bit more tougher of a deal than, Aaron Rodgers taking over at that point, for that Packers team and going on a run. So it's certainly a legit question for sure.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I was going to ask this question and get everybody in the chat to comment, and we still will. You guys name it off, okay? But make sure you go vote. I'm putting up a poll question on YouTube right now. You have one game to win. Which QB would you take in their prime? Okay, one game. For one game, Brett Favre in his prime, Aaron Rodgers in his prime. Who are you taking? So make sure you vote, and then go ahead and comment here in the chat. Who are you taking, Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers? And again, Favre's made
keyword prime, right? In their prime. That's the key word.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No doubt. IROC says J Love. That's easy. There you go.
I love it. That's off IROC. I love that.
That is definitely the right answer for right now, anyway, here in 2024. But again, TC fan, I think it's a great question. I like these type of questions, and that's how I always try to answer them. I try to remove the emotion and go, all right, both of them at their prime, one game to win. Who you taking? It's tough, man. I don't want to answer it, but I'm going to answer it. I think one game to win in their prime. You got to think Rodgers. Rodgers is prime. That's the other thing too, Tim. Rodgers' prime was probably 2013 or 2014 when he played the Seahawks. I mean, that's that year. That offense was just whoa. We went 14 games that year or something like that. I think
that's a great point because it's like we won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, arguably before his prime or at the very, very beginning stages of him entering his prime. I mean, he played his best ball after that Super Bowl victory. So, and we never made it back. So I don't know. It's making my brain hurt, Clayton, trying to pick one of these guys.
I know, because I'm thinking Aaron Rodgers, when he was throwing, whatever it was, 40 some touchdowns and 4 interceptions, right?
Yep.
Or Brett Favre in what would probably be 97, I think would probably be his best year. Some would say that year in Minnesota, that last year in Minnesota, or the year before his last year in Minnesota, was his best statistical year. But we all know Brett, when he was young, man, being able to scramble, run around, make chicken salad out of what, that dude, it's tough because you think, all right, one game to win. I'm a nerd. Turnover differential, you got to lean toward Aaron, right? I think I'm going with Aaron to win one game. Now, if you're saying you have to pick one of those two players to rewatch their career again, I'm probably picking Brett, man, because I missed it. I wasn't a Packer fan back then, but boy, there ain't nothing I love more than going to YouTube and typing in 1996 week 7 tonight.
Yep.
And it's just, man, it's so much fun.
Absolutely, man. I'm not going to pick one. I can't. I have a headache right now.
All right, let's go to the chat. 2-0 for this says 12. Rel says Rodgers. IROC said, he can't say J Love, I guess. Holmes says AR12. Jake G126 says 4. Talking about Brett Favre. Cam says Scott Tolzien. There you go. Scoot's got one in here, right? Man, he was fun to watch. Do you remember that spin move he threw on the Vikings that year? I remember that one play where he put a spin move. He came in and played for Aaron, and he threw a spin move on some Vikings defenders. I know you guys in the chat remember that.
I'll see your Scott Tolzien, and I'll raise you a Matt freaking Flynn one time. Let's go.
There you go.
Legend.
I'm going with Doug Peters. No, I'm just let's see here. Rail says, grew up on Rodgers, watched the Super Bowl. There you go. All right. Greg Rice, 4 because the team loved him and would walk through fire for him. There's a lot of truth to that, Greg. But we also forget, too, though, that probably pre-2016, same thing can be said for Aaron. Like, I remember when the team was fed up with Brett, and I'm talking about teammates. I've talked to at least 2 players that played with Brett, and I asked them this question: what was it like with Brett there? He's, well, I caught him toward the end of his career, and we didn't see him much, right? So it's like totally different from when he was young.
You think God never farted?
As soon as Aaron took over for Brett, he immediately started having Bible study at his house, and the team talked about how they were just like all rallied around him because he was catching so much flack from a good portion of the fan base because they still wanted Brett here and on and on and on, right? I understand what you're saying. Recently, you kind of got that bad taste in your mouth still, but team loved Aaron just as much as they loved Brett. I believe that. But I know what you're saying too, like the fact that Brett would lay his body out there on the line week in and week out and would never miss a game, that's probably more what Greg is saying here too, I would say. So I get it, man. I totally get it. That if you had to compare the two, I'm with you, Greg. I think the team probably did love Brett more than the team that Aaron played with loved him, because Brett just had that aura about him when he was younger, for sure. Coach Lynn, I like you. This is the right answer. Probably Rodgers. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's see. Aaron Rodgers, which team are they playing with? I don't know, man. Come on now. Now we're getting deep here.
We're getting too deep into the weeds. Come on. Aaron Rodgers is going to take Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Ron Sample said he had to vote Rodgers. I love how they're saying it too. It's not like, oh, definitely Rodgers. It's like, I guess if I got to, we'll go with this.
Well, the argument is, I don't think there's any debate if we're talking about them both in their prime. I think Aaron Rodgers is probably a more accurate passer. I don't think that's even debatable. And if you're talking about who's going to get you a win, you might want to go with that consistency and that accuracy. The guy who protects the football. But man, Brett Favre was sure as hell fun to watch, though. Oof.
He was, man. 2-0 for this.
Your heart out, or have you jumping up and down with joy? One of the two.
2-0 for this says Deshaun Kaiser, but only when Rodgers takes perks at halftime.
On my knee.
There you go. The perks have entered the chat now. Cam's going to say A-Rod. He changed his vote from Scoots Tolzien to A-Rod. J. Cole says Rodgers. Daryl says Kaiser was worse. There's a lot of truth to that. I'm a Notre Dame fan, too. Kaiser was cheeks at the NFL level. No doubt about it, man. All right, so let's go and look real quick at the vote. Boy, it's close. Holy cow. Reading the comments, you think Aaron's running away with it, right? Aaron Rodgers, 54%. Brett Favre, 46%. So that's a fairly close one, man. Pretty cool. Let's see what else we got in here real quick. And again, TC fan, thank you so much for the super chat. But that's a great conversation piece. The 2 over this says Favre was one bounty gate away from another ring. It's so true. I know you hit on that earlier, Tim, but man, they beat the hell out of him in that Saints game. They really did. I remember seeing that ankle. You remember that ankle, what it looked like? Oof. Ugly. Larry Cano in the chat says Favre, he may lose, but it'd be sure fun to watch. You got that right, Larry. God,
I'll tell you what, and that consecutive start streak is not going to be broken anytime soon. I see Josh Allen's, halfway there, or a little less than halfway there. I don't know. He might have to play for another 100 years just to get Brett's Iron Man record.
Yeah, I could see that too. All right, man. J. Cole says Favre should have had 3 rings. Man.
So should Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. I do.
But again, wins and losses are a team record, not a quarterback stat.
Right. Yeah. True. With Aaron, I know it's listen, I'm a big Aaron fan. You guys know this. The thing that bothered me the most was as soon as the whole vaccination stuff happened, a portion of the fan base just turned him into the worst human possible, right? He's just a horrible person. I can't stand that. And if you don't believe me, you can literally, I say this all the time, you can go to people's Twitter accounts. And if they bash Rodgers, I love doing this. Just go to their Twitter account and search Aaron Rodgers, And then you can go back and look at every tweet they ever put out about Aaron Rodgers. It's like clockwork. When the immunization comment came out, that's when it flipped and they all of a sudden hated him. And it always cracks me up that you can do that. But with that being said, this latter part of his career, he has become less likable. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm 40, 41, 42 years old now. I'm less likable today than I was 5 years ago, too.
I'm just going to say, aren't we all?
Let's be real about it, man. Favre should have had 3 rings. I like this right here. Who was it that said G126? That's all Elway's fault. It really is, man.
Elway and Terrell Davis. Oof.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Monster, man. No doubt. Aaron Rodgers with the super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. He says, I picked AR-12, but imagine 4 with this team. Favre and Kraft celebrations would feed family.
Comment of the night. So
Could
true.
you imagine?
Can you imagine those 2 guys in a locker room?
God, dude. Because, the stories you hear about Mark Shimura and Brett Favre running around together as 2 young players is just, man. And what about Mark Shimura's story? We played it on the podcast. Him following Gilbert Brown one night through Taco Bell because Gilbert Brown was sneaking out of the hotel and going and getting Taco Bell after they already made weight and they wasn't supposed to eat anything. You already had your snack. He said, Mark was getting mad too. Chewy was like, we already had a snack at the hotel. Like you didn't need anything. He said, and I noticed he was sneaking out, so I followed him. I went to Taco Bell. He said he went through the drive-thru and he said he sat in his car and ate everything he ordered. And when he threw it away, I went to the trash can and got the receipt. And it was like he spent like $80 or something on Taco Bell back in the 90s. Bro.
Back in the 90s?
Something crazy. He was like,
it's like 5 or 6 bags of Taco Bell for sure.
Oh, my God, no doubt, man. But Gilbert's another one, man. I'm telling you. And it's easy to get sad. You're like, man, it sucks that those times are over. They're not. You can go right to YouTube and search, and you can get the interviews, the presser, all the stuff from back in the day, every game. It's a blast, man. It's an absolute blast going back down memory lane and looking at that stuff for sure. The helicopter. And thank you for the super chat, Aaron. Appreciate you, buddy. Greg Rice, that helicopter TD was brutal. It was, Tim. Man, it's like as soon as you see that happen as a fan, you got to think, well, damn it, we just lost. Like, How can they lose this game now, right?
Yep.
So
brutal.
Yeah, Holmes in the chat. What about Frankie Donuts? I partied with those guys and they were lit.
Frankie Bag of Donuts. So Frankie Winters.
Yeah, Frankie Winters. I'm pretty sure that's the one Mike Wall told me the story. I think he told it on the air, and it was his rookie year. And he said his first experience, I'm pretty sure it was Frank Winters that this happened with. And he said he went out to have a beer with him, and he said, we got one rule. He said we went to this little bar in Green Bay, nobody, whatever, and we're all just sitting there, and he said, we got one rule in this bar. You can only drink Bud Light. He said they slam Bud Light all day long. So Frank Winters looked like he'd be a fun one, man. Fun one to hang out with.
Yeah. That was a different era, though, too, right? I mean, not that the guys don't have fun now, but, yeah, man, that – if you get a chance to read Favre's book, man, you gotta see it firsthand, man. It's great. The write-ups in there, about the days when really that was the 3 amigos, right? Brett Favre, Mark Shimura, and Frank Winters were the notorious 3 musketeers of pranks and locker room antics, man. Classic.
Yeah, 2-0 for this says the good times in Green Bay are far from over. Amen to that, buddy. Amen. Tucker Kraft's going to keep that alive and well. I promise you that, man. I love J-Love too, man. Just the way he carries. Like, think about, here you go. I got you a picture right here. Matter of fact, I don't even know why we get this on the screen. We haven't even talked about it. Funny how that works.
His receiving is tough.
Again, here, you think about all right, the good times coming up. Look at this one right here. I love this right here. Carrying the plate off. Let's go, dude. How cool was it seeing him and Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs and Jordan Love? Jordan Love holding up a turkey leg like it was a trophy, right? Half eaten.
Yeah.
There's going to be memories like this created that the 90s Packers had, no doubt.
How about Jay Reed on his way to the tunnel giving the fan the turkey leg as well? I don't know if you caught that one. That was a thing of beauty, and then the fan just taking a huge bite. Yeah, man, there's plenty of good memories to come, and including this one right here. This is a classic. I love it.
Definitely. All right, what else we got here? Cam in the chat says $80 and tacos were like 59 cents. He shared those like Josh Jacobs and that turducken. That's the thing, Cam. He didn't. Chewy said he was in the car alone and he followed it. And he sat in his car and ate he said there was nothing left in it. I need to pull that. We played it on the show. Matter of fact, I could probably find it on YouTube. I won't take the time right now. I'll try to find that show on YouTube because I titled it Mark Chimura Telling Stories or something like that. And it was wild. And it might not have been 80, it might have been like 50, but whatever it was like we all had the same response. Like in the 90s, that much Taco Bell, you could feed a family of 10 for $12.
Yep.
Taco Bell in the 90s, man. No doubt.
59, 69, 79, or whatever that was. What was the deal? 79, 89, 99. Whew. There you go.
Greg Rice in the chat says, I love watching Jacobs killing the mac and cheese, man. And how cool is it that they spent the whole night building it up with Leroy Butler at Lambeau with a chef and them cooking the meal? It's just so cool, man. It's a perfect Thanksgiving.
And Leroy talking about his uncle's secrets to the mac and cheese too. That was clutch right there.
Right. Yeah. No doubt. 2-0 for this says that turkey leg wouldn't have meant as much if Greg Olsen hadn't thieved Jordan of it last year. Oh boy, was it sweet. Again, man, sometimes it's got to rain a little bit before you can enjoy the sunshine, right? We had to wait a full year before he got his turkey leg. So,
and we made sure he got two, Leroy Butler on the ball as usual. So we made up for it. We're even now.
Yeah. Holmes in the chat. I used to house Taco Bell 20 boxes of tacos in college.
Wash your hands, wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
Ain't no washing you. You got to wear a diaper. You eat that many tacos, man. Let me tell you, that's exactly right. Actually, it might be cut more from this cloth right here.
Cheese curds make my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
All right. Is there anything else we want to hit? Let's hit on the personnel since I did flash it up on the screen. Let's do that real quick and then we'll get out of here. Okay. We went a little bit over, but this was a fun episode. All right. Sometimes it's cool just to hang out with the chat like that, man. Go down memory lane. So Detroit, what they do offensively real quick, guys, they run 11 personnel 54% of the time. That's 25th most in the league. So keep that in mind. They run some of the fewest 11 personnel in the league. Now, when it comes to 12 personnel, one running back, two tight ends, which will trigger our base defense, our base 4-3, unless we want to try to play it with some kind of big nickel hybrid, something like that. With the 12 personnel, they run it 34.8% of the time. That's the most in the entire league. So they love running 12 personnel for their offense, okay? The third most at 3.9% is 12 with the star. I can't remember what the star represented, but it's kind of a hybrid 12, I'm sure. And then they have an uncharted one as well at 2.4. So really the two you want to key in on, 11 personnel, a little more than half the snaps. They'll be in that, which will trigger our nickel 4-2-5 unless we go with a hybrid dime look. I doubt we will. And then the 12 personnel being 34.8% of the time, which will trigger our 4-3 defense. So, Tim, they love to press into 12 personnel. At least you don't have to worry about a whole lot of 21. They run at 1.7% of the time. I think that's 17th most in the league. So the majority of the night, when they're looking to run the football, they're probably going to be looking to do it out of 12 personnel. Now, also, I want to key in on this, and I'll get your take. We'll wrap up. The other thing that I've noticed on tape with Detroit, they get a 3rd and 8 situation or a 3rd and 6 situation. They are not afraid to run the football.
Yep.
They will run it on 3rd and long and then go for it on 4th. So you can't really just pin your ears back and go after the passer on those 3rd and longs. You've got to really, really keep your head on a swivel for draws and things like that. So
absolutely. I mean, it's going to come down to how these nickel defenses can stop the run, because that's what they're going to be looking to do. I don't think they want to trigger a base set and try and run into the teeth of that. And, Detroit is, let's be honest, they have a lethal offense when they're rolling. I think the best thing we can do as a team is just make sure they do everything we can to keep them out of rhythm offensively. Like you said, I mean, they're not scared to run it on 3rd and 5+, 3rd and long, whatever that may be. If we're on top of it and we get off the field on 3rd downs, that's going to stymie that offense and put us in a better chance to win the game for sure.
Yeah. And the last thing here, when we're talking personnel and tendencies, as far as their EPA ranking, that 11 personnel, there are 3 wide receiver sets, 1 running back, 1 tight end. EPA ranking first in the league. So they are deadly at scoring with 11 personnel. Now, when you go to the 12 personnel, it only drops to 6th. So you're talking about a legit, no matter what personnel they're in, they're borderline top 3, top 5 offense in terms of expected points added. So it's going to be an uphill battle against that offense. Their offense isn't nearly as banged up as the defense. Again, we mentioned Taylor Decker. If Taylor Decker doesn't play, they're going to be missing their starting left tackle. But outside of that, offense is healthy, and boy, they are potent. So just keep that in mind there. And that's your, like I said, personnel preview there for Thursday night. Let's go to the chat. We'll wrap up here. 2-0 for this says the good times in Green Bay are far from over. Amen to that. Professor Cake says, my dad to this day still believes the 97 Super Bowl versus the Broncos was rigged. That's a true Packer fan right there. His name isn't Jacob the Beard, is it? I love Jacob. Jacob was always spinning the conspiracies on us for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I ain't going to lie, a couple of times I'm like, he's making way too much sense right now. Way too much sense. J. Cole in the chat says, I'm going to say it. I believe J. Love will get 2 rings.
Word to Tupac LaFleur. Let's go. I love that, J. Cole. I'm with you, man. We got to get one first, though. Let's get it done this year. Wouldn't it be sweet? Go down to New Orleans, win a Super Bowl just like they did in 96. I'll take it. Let's go.
Win it in New Orleans, just like 96, and then come back a couple of months later and let's have the draft in Green Bay. And then talk about a proper farewell salute to Mark Murphy on his way into retirement. Give it to us. Let's go. And then the very next year, Packer Hall of Fame induction, Mark Murphy getting propped up and promoted the way he should. And then you lead off the season, Thursday Night Football, dropping the new banner. Everybody gets their rings, and let's play football.
Speaking it into existence. I love it.
Let's go. Too. That's right. All right, guys, that's it. This was fun, man. This was a good episode, a good blend of everything, and it's not good because of us. It's good because the chat was absolutely on fire, and we covered everything from the 90s Packers to the 2010 Packers to this matchup against the Lions. It was a fun conversation. We'll give a quick shout-out to TC Fan for the super chat, Aaron Rodgers for the super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. We also had a Patreon question. Let me hammer it real quick, and we'll get out since you did that. Scan the QR code in the upper right. If you want to join our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. We got a bunch of different message groups in there. We got a fantasy football league that we'll do another one next year. We're kind of keeping up with the standings there. Just a lot of cool stuff over there. If you're one of the 3 tiers, you'll be entered in the contest for one of the giveaways. We're going to be doing a giveaway this Thursday night. I got to come up with a prize. We got a couple things over here. We'll come up with a piece of memorabilia for you guys. But Dave Colvin in that chat, if you're in the Patreon group, and you ask a question in the question thread, you'll get it read on the air like this. Dave Colvin says, Green Bay has been trending upwards the last few weeks. You can kind of see, like midway through last year, the upwards trajectory. Do you think this can this connected to LaFleur stating a few weeks ago about dropping the card looks during practice and doing more of a free-flowing practices? Maybe this can be connected to Quay reading and reacting faster. If you're not going through scripted looks during practice and just play, maybe it translates to being more fluent during games. Maybe causes Love to throw less interceptions because he's doing more real game like play in practice. Just a thought. I'm just a knuckle dragger. Ha ha. We're all knuckle draggers here, Dave, but I think there could be something to that, Tim. Like, when you talk about getting ready, sometimes you can overthink it, right, with the cards. And you talk about the practice cards and planning the practice out completely. If you go out there and just say, hey, let's suit it up, let's play 11 on 11 and go through our game plan here, I could see there maybe being something to that.
I agree 100%. And I think it's a great point that Dave's making here, and we all know that spend a couple minutes with Coach LaFleur and, you think you know something about football and you realize you know nothing at all around a guy like that. And it's real easy for things to get real complicated really quick and a lot of things for guys to process. So I think that is telling right there, for a coach to put in the prep that he puts in like Matt LaFleur does, to be able to also have the flexibility to just, throw it out and let's see what happens. Let's randomize some things. Let's get some unscouted looks. And, keep guys on their toes in practice because we all know that translates to the field on game day. So I think that's a great point. I agree 100%.
Again, thank you, Dave, for the question there in Patreon. Last comment, Professor Cake says, "Yeah, I'll admit it. This show sucked less than yesterday." So there you go. Hey, we appreciate that, man. That's a very nice comment. We disagree. We think it sucks a little bit more today than it did yesterday. But
yeah, but not as much as the Bears.
The Bears still suck.
With that, we're out of here, guys. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We'll see you tomorrow morning for Good Morning Lambeau at 8:30 Central Time. Take care.
Thanks for watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Green Bay Packers content. Created for the fans by the fans. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know whenever we go live. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Packers_access. Go Pack Go. Have a great day.